The scramble and partition for Africa has already happened. Colonization is now coming to an end. Most of the African states have now gained independence. Self-rule is coming in. Now, Africans are looking for a vehicle to carry themselves from one place to the other, ferry goods from one place to the other. And then on the market, several options are there. But Africa by then needed something that would be dependable, something that would be cheap, something that would be durable and a long time, easy to maintain, and so on. So Africa sort of needed something that can be fixed using chewing gum and tape, for that matter, for it just to be able to be fixed and ferry goods and people from one place to the other. So comes end of 1960s, Peugeot comes up with a car, Peugeot 504. So this car came up at a time where Africa really needed something that they would associate themselves with, something that they would depend on. So Peugeot brought in the 504 that easily became a lovebird for African transportation and African families. So the 504 came in saloon version, station wagon version, as well as in pickup version. So today here I am sitting in a Peugeot 504 pickup, 1996 one. Just a little bit history about these cars. This was a large family saloon car produced by Peugeot from 1968 around there up to as late as 2007, 2006 and 7 in Nigeria, but production as well as assembly ended in Kenya in 2004 in Mombasa. So this car was so much loved in Africa that about 200,000 units, just above 200,000 units were assembled, manufactured in Nigeria. Kenya only had 27,000 units that were made in Kenya and distributed across. That is how dependable and lovable this car was up to then. So this car has proved to be cheap to own, cheap to, not really to own in terms of buying it, but cheap to buy it as a second hand, cheap to maintain it, as well as parts were available everywhere. There's really not a village you would visit in Kenya that they do not know of the 504. Some of you, if you can remember from a film Top Gear did, Jeremy Clarkson, describing it as a car of Africa, because really it was a car of Africa. It was found everywhere in Africa. This car crossed so many kilometers that even the Land Rover Defender had not done. So focus today is on this pickup. I want to take you around, talk to you about it. So what Peugeot had here was a minimalist sort of dashboard, plastic, a position for a stereo, then the clock here. You had just simple dials, the speedo at the center, on your left an analog clock, and then on your right your fuel gauge. Then just below that you find there's a bit of reflection. Below that you find warning lights, as well as battery light. And not much to write home about that clock. There were no airbags by then, a steering wheel, and then light switch. This is how you operated the lights. That is for parking lights. Then you go down for low beam and then full beam. That is how you alternate between low beam and high beam. And then when the switch is off, you just push it down like so to flash your headlights. For the wipers, you operate the stock that way. You just turn it for the 3 speeds on the wipers. Under the bonnet, this Peugeot pickup 504 had or still has an 1800cc engine, which produced about 78 horsepower by then, with just over 150 newton meters of torque, which was enough to ferry the goods by then. So this car was rated at about 1.2 tons load capacity. Mind you, at that particular age, this car used to ferry more goods than the competitors on the market by then, the Toyota Hilux and the Isuzu Tafa, as well as the Nissan Datsun. Peugeot kept things simple in this engine. For starters, this engine had just a simple carburetor that could be mended by a screwdriver and a pair of pliers, with just a few horses here and there. So there used to be two systems of ignition. One of it that came later, as late as from 1996 and above, was this type of distributor that uses the magneto type of it. So you have power coming from the ignition coil under here and then finding its way through an ignition igniter that is mounted somewhere in there, and then into the distributor, then from the distributor into the HT leads, and then into the individual plugs. And then the second one was the contact point type of distribution, where you have a point that had contacts that distributed electricity. If you are not really aware of that, you can find that in one of my videos that we talked about starting up the Citroen DS that has the contact point ignition system. Yeah, so simple. The alternator was just mount up here for accessibility if you wanted to repair it or if you wanted to replace it. Also, the water pump was just located just up here, and then the fan was mechanically driven by the belt. The timing position right here, timing chain, the camshaft up here, then the crankshaft lower there, so the chain goes around the car. So this engine was simple to repair and maintain. It would cost you between 1,500 shillings and 5,000 shillings maximum to have everything brand new in terms of service and running this car. Consumption for this engine was also good. This engine consumes about, in tip-top condition, it will consume about 11 to 12 kilometers per liter, even though it's a pickup hauling luggage. Maintaining this car also was not a difficult job. The liner kit, that is the complete rebuild kit for this engine for this car, comes at about 20,000 shillings, and for that you have new pistons, you have new piston rings, you have new sleeves, you have complete overhaul gasket, that is all the gaskets for the radiator, for the carburetor, all the gaskets for the little things that you have, like the water pump, the head gasket, all the nuts and bolts brand new. So it's one of the simplest, cheapest car you can ever run, you can ever keep maintaining. So ideally, if one fails to maintain a 504, then probably there's just a problem with the person. This is one of the cheapest pickup you can use. The other thing for this pickup at its time, at its best, this pickup truck handled like a passenger car. So this was set up on the monocoque frame, the kind of frame that you don't have ladder chassis, you don't have body to frame kind of setup. Instead, you have the chassis of the car molded within the body. So having that, it was based on the 504 saloon, the same technology was carried over to the pickup. So on the road, this car handled a bit like a passenger car. There was not a lot of body roll, and then it had both coil springs and shock absorbers, as well as the leaf springs at the rear. So coil springs and shock absorbers at the front, and then leaf springs also with the shock absorbers at the rear, just to make sure the ride was smooth. So if you used it as your daily driver rather than cargo truck, you would also enjoy it and find it more comfortable on the road, as well as having good clearance for off-road activities and daily driving with ferrying goods from one place to the other. So if you're looking to get a pickup truck to ferry some of your goods, you're into construction, you're into some family business, you're into hardware business that you need to ferry goods from one place to the other, let's say for your customers or for yourself, you're looking to buy a pickup truck that will not really cost you much from the market. You're looking to buy a pickup truck that doesn't cost an arm and a leg in terms of services from time to time, then you should be looking at getting one of these Peugeot 504s. You can get a wrecked one that needs renovation, make it a project. If you are an enthusiast, you want to make it a project, so you can find one that is lying around for about 80,000 shillings or 100,000 shillings, and then clean it up, make it good for the road, make it tip-top conditions with around another 100,000 shillings. So in total you can spend 200,000 shillings on this, and then get a pickup that will take you places. Get a pickup that if it breaks, it can be fixed from any village, it can be fixed from any town, from anywhere, by anybody. Yourself can just do some DIYs on it. It's a very simple car to work on, a very simple car to live with. So if you are looking out for one, then you here you have one. You can look for one on the market right now. They're going between 150 and 300,000 for the clean ones, so you can get one at that amount of money, and then you can have it dependable for quite a long time before you get yourself money to buy something fancy like a Toyota Hilux, an Isuzu D-Max, or a Mitsubishi L200 for that matter for now. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Catch you in the next video when we will be looking at other things. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, share it with your friends. Make sure that you click on the bell icon to make sure that you're notified whenever we do a video. Thank you very much.